in Game 2, and we've thought about the flexibility that gave Afreeca Freecs, but unfortunately for them, whether it's been Lyra and Ixu or Sungwon and Linderong, recently Afreeca just can't catch a break. They haven't been able to win with either duo. That's probably why they threw the gambit and started with the sub-squad in Game 1, but they're going back to experience for Game 2.
Yep. But we'll see how that's going to change things up, because Ixu hasn't been having a very good time ever since the big focus came around the top lane. We thought maybe this would benefit for him, but it just hasn't paid off that way. You know, tried to play the Poppy again, didn't work out, but coming back in now on 6-15 with him, we'll see how things are going to fare. First band's coming out, it's going to be the Shen yet again. Lissandra will be taken away by Afreeca Freecs, so respect over to Kuzan, who had a very strong performance on that champion in Game 1, but also denying away a champion potentially for Mickey.
I actually think Janair's doing Afreeca a bit of a favor here. They've played 3 games in the postseason of Karma mid. Doesn't seem to play to Mickey's strength as a player, and it also is a blocker for the Kog'Maw comp they ran in Game 1. Whether you call it Jugger more or Protect the Kog'Maw, regardless, it was a Kog'Maw focus comp that didn't come together. And again, moving Mickey away from the Karma and towards one of his skirmishing champions. He's at his best when he's playing the Zeds and Twisted Fates of the world that in previous metas have been permaban against him, and Taliyah definitely falls in a similar category. But I think I was just really hoping that Afreeca would be pivoting away from this Karma pick, and now it's been outright denied from him.
See where they want to go this time around. I mean, one of the things that we saw, you know, again, historically banned against Mickey was that Twisted Fate. A lot of the times you come in, even if you hadn't played it recently, it's kind of like Flawless on the Lee Sin. You just keep that unavailable to him. It's been available in Game 1 so far. Will be available for him here in Game 2. And with last pick available, we could see that come out in the mid lane. But first pick was banned in Game 1. Now it's going to be the Rek'Sai going over to Wing. So he's going to get his second favorite champion, second most played champion coming in.
Yeah, he's actually 4-1 on the Rek'Sai this season. Hasn't been able to get a hold of it. Been forced onto Gragas and Graves duty in recent weeks. I wondered if they would just first pick the Gnar, look for pressure in the top lane, instead of reaching for the Rek'Sai, because his Gragas finally showed really good results. Winged was excellent in the early game for Jinair, but they still will go for the Rek'Sai that globally has been very much a first-round pick. Let's see how Afreeca want to answer it. So no Kog'Maw, probably going to come out after the Karma's been banned away, so maybe it's going to be just a Sivir comp from Afreeca Freecs.
Just a Sivir comp indeed, so not going to be going for the support off the bat by the look of it. Could just be the Echo yet again. This time for Ixu. Which means Trace very well could just go back to this Gnar pickup.
Maybe a mistake not to. Looked very clean in Game 1, just wailed away. You were noting his damage dealt in Game 1. That was probably about 24,000 damage of the 28,000, literally just from auto-attacking his lane opponent during lane.
For sure.
Such is the way that Gnar vs. Echo works after a couple of items. But no rush necessarily to lock that in right now. They have some flexibility. You don't have access to the Lissandra. I think that's a really savvy ban from Afreeca, because Jin have looked so much more ordered, so much better at initiating fights so cleanly with Kuzan on the comfort Lissandra. He has always played to a high degree, and you can see in the booth, just looking at Trace, some disagreements about where Jinair should go with the draft from here. They're really thinking and using all the time. Another comfort pick for Jinair has been the Malzahar.
I mean, this is also a flex pick for them, so they could just lock this in perhaps with an AD carry or support, try to get some more information from the Afreeca Freecs, and then move forward. Looks like they will keep things ambiguous with this Trundle pickup, so that could be for Trace, could be for Che.
Only team in the world where you can lock in Trundle Malzahar and have it be a double top lane flex.
Yep. So Malzahar more than likely going to be for Kuzan, but you never really know with this squad.
Now it's worth noting that the last couple of times we've seen this flex, it's been on red side. It's actually a lot more powerful to red side flex the Malzahar because you have last pick. Because now, Afreeca can either go for the super safe mid laner, something like the Victor they're hovering, or just leave last pick for the mid lane and just not be caught out with the Malzahar potentially flexing to top. So on the red side, and this is super powerful for Jinair, but you lose a little bit because you have to show that information first on blue side.
And given the way that things have gone as of late, I'd be really surprised if we see that Victor. We haven't seen him in quite a while, but it's going to be the Elise and the Tahm Kench picked up. So Sivir Tahm Kench for the bottom lane. This is what Jinair ran in that last game, and now Elise coming in yet again.
And again, it's Afreeca, understand they're on the red side. They might still draft the victor, but it's much more astute to leave yourself flexible as a last pick, given that Trace likes to get frisky with the top lane Malzahar.
Sure. But a couple those repeat picks coming in for top and jungle this time just going to be flipped out, so we'll see which players are able to have more success on this Elise and the Echo, whether it's Ixu and Lyra or Linderong and Songwon. Now, AD Carry might be looking at the Lucian going into this Sivir. It's a long-time counter pick, but Lucian has fallen off as of late because it's really been about the Jins and the Ashes of the world with Sivir in that mix if she's not banned away. But Lucian will be locked in as well as Rumble, which means that we'll have that support. Trundle will have that mid lane Malzahar for Kuzan, and Trace will be bringing out Rumble in the top lane.
Always been a long-time Rumble player. Definitely not a Marin or I guess a Smeb this season in terms of being a top-tier Rumble player, but a smart Rumble player. Good at knowing when to be denied. Doesn't overextend and die like Marin was famous to do on SK Telecom, and even this year on LGD on that Rumble. So just going for a bit of a safer pick in the top lane. That leaves Afreeca needing a mid laner, and this is where we can start flashing Mickey champions. We can get very excited and see where he ends up. And we saw some Zed play in the LPL Grand Final as Scout was playing that in the mid lane. I'd love to see Mickey back to the Zed, but some of the other hovers like the Cassiopeia and now the Twisted Fate are that much more likely.
TF could be good. You can very easily clear that passive off of the Malzahar with the wild cards, and it looks like they're going to lock this one up.
Now it's also a low health champion that will instantly die to another Flash Unburrow and a Malzahar ult. So
that's very true.
Very much going to look to leave lane here as Afreeca, try to push in Malzahar, which is kind of a hard thing to do in itself. And although Mickey is known as a Twisted Fate main, played so much of the champion this season, Twisted Fate has not been a comfort pick for him. 7 games, 1-6 on Twisted Fate in summer.
You have to wonder, right now Kuzan hovering this Ghost Flash. Is he going to swap that over to the Cleanse? Because you have a Twisted Fate, you have an Elise. There's really easy CC chaining coming through, but it looks like Kuzan might just be sticking with these two summoners, feeling confident enough to juke around that Cocoon or maybe just flash away from the engagement entirely.
I think it's a mistake. I think you take Cleanse and then so the gameplay pattern here is that every time Twisted Fate walks up to red card, you walk up and threaten a flash ultimate or threaten that your jungler is there, because literally if Rek'Sai is there and either of the CCs, whether it's the suppression or the flash knockup hit, the Twisted Fate is dead. But without Cleanse, positioning is harder, and there is a world where you die to the Elise Twisted Fate gank. So we'll have to wait till we load in to see what that summoner spell choice was.
It's Ghost.
So taking Ghost, we can see it on our screens here. I think that's really risky. I think that's disrespectful. Just like when we see Ghost Flash against a Lissandra, I don't like it against Twisted Fate Elise either.
Well, we'll see if Malzahar can get rolling early so that this Elise and this Twisted Fate are a non-factor, or if Afreeca Freecs will be able to fire back. Let's go ahead and get onto the Rift for Game 2 and see if Afreeca Freecs can make some magic happen. All right, Cloud Drake starting us off yet again. Seems to be the theme for the day. The fans definitely being a little bit more vocal coming into this Game 2. Jin Air fans still there, showing their support for this squad. They haven't been able to really come to the studio to cheer for this team in a while, so it's going to be a nice little show up for them, of course. A lot of the Jin Air players, Kuzan especially, has got a lot of fangirls.
It's true. He is one of the more popular players alongside the likes of Smeb on the Rocks Tigers. Actually, only a single game for Kuzan on the Malzahar this season. 1-0 and 100% win rate for any champion on a team that was struggling as much as Jin Air is. Impressive in itself. He's gone for the Deathfire touch predictably.
I think it was 1 for him, 2 for Trace in the top lane.
And that was 1-1.
Yeah.
Some very long games from top lane Malzahar, you'll remember.
Very long games from Jin Air in general.
I'm pretty sure that clip of the attempted backdoor from Winged on the Elise was a Malzahar top game as well.
That very well may have been when he stepped over the Nidalee trap.
Maybe it was Narg. No, maybe it was Gangplank. That's right, it was a Gangplank game. Sorry, I'm getting my long Jin Air games mixed up for some reason.
There's so many of them.
Exactly. The laundry list of Jin Air games that went over an hour. probably about, what, 4? I'm not including the 50-minute ones. Those ones are reasonable.
I mean, as far as long Jin Air games goes, there's definitely more than those. Like, it would take you longer to watch all of the Jin Air games than all of the Lord of the Rings movies twice over. Director's cuts.
Really, director's cuts. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we've come to the point where I don't even know what a 25-minute Jin Air game looks like.
It probably looks like them losing.
That's fair.
Is probably the most likely of scenarios. But it was a fairly convincing, yet somewhat bumpy game 1.
I mean, by Jin Air standards, that was
yeah.
A really good game. I mean, it was 30 minutes of near perfection from a mid-game focused Lissandra comp against what was to protect the cock more on the side of Afreeca. So a lot to like about it, even if I might nitpick about the ability to close out. Closing out games isn't easy for sometimes even the best teams in the world. Now Mickey being able to push in, doing very much a Talia move, as you saw, by pushing in, getting level 2, and trying to contest the enemy Raptor camps, becoming more and more popular around the world, to the point where teams are setting up counter ganks around mid laners shoving.
So let me pick your brain on this one. The Gnar was available, yet we see Trace opting into this Rumble instead against Echo. Why exactly do you think that pick has come across? Because I really thought that the Gnar was going to be just a shoo-in for that position, especially granted Trace's performance in game 1.
Waiting a second to see if Winged or Lyra end up counter ganking or ganking around this mid lane. But to answer your question, it's an interesting one. I mean, when we've seen Rumble, the best spots for Rumble has been into gangplank. You have a lot of kill pressure on the damage stacking Pirate, who really prefers not to build any magic resist. Against the Echo, it strikes me as a really tough matchup in terms of actually killing an Echo, which, as we all know, having played solo queue, killing the Echo through his ult and other shenanigans is very difficult to do. So I guess the one thing you could say is that because Afreeca were leaving last pick for mid lane, it was potential to be a champion like the Twisted Fate, where if you're Gnar and you're naturally going to push in to apply lane pressure, you could just be opening yourselves up to ganks, and we know how defensive-minded Trace is, so perhaps just the ability to play more defensively, innately, with the kit available to you, perhaps was the attraction, or maybe it's just sheer comfort, because it looked so good in game 1 that you had to, as you say, your mind wanders to why not when it was available.
We'll see how Trace is going to fare. So far, it's been trading pretty evenly in the CS, but now Lyra up this top lane, going to be looking for a gank. If you can find that opening of the cocoon, pretty much like right there. Didn't pull the trigger on it.
If the way he pushes back, then might be a chance. It looks like it was pretty even, but
trying to bait him forward with Ixu playing further back.
This is how Trace plays, though. Yeah. He is known for being super defensive.
And he's just hugging this wall, hiding behind the minions. So if he has some idea that Lyra's here, he's really just messing with him. The parallel conversion's going to come out. They do get the stun into the cocoon. Trace's going to go low. The Q coming through. He's going to flash away. They won't be able to finish him off. We'll get a little bit of return damage in with the Flame Spitter, but overall he's going to be safe for now. But do they want to go for a dive? This would be pretty bold. Ixu not having the ultimate. They go in onto Trace. No flash. He's going to go down. Lyra able to juggle this one out, goes back over to the minions, and it's nicely done by Afreeca Freecs. They'll come up with a first blood.
Trace could have backed away further, but because he pinged level 5, he felt confident enough to stick around. But he was sticking around.
Oh boy, Wings. He's going to get devoured, spat out the opposite way. He'll be able to zip his way to safety. But already, a better start for Afreeca Freecs. They did get first blood in game 1, but it resulted in a 1-for-1 trade and double buffs handed over to Kuzan.
This was a very defensive first purchase of the Merc Treads, but...
Or no, it was over to Mickey, sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the Merc Treads does at least mean that it's going to be more flexible to slightly overextend with the movement speed and the scrap shield, and the lessened CC duration. The repeat ganks probably will have less chance of succeeding. Mickey pings level 6, but is low on mana, hasn't shocked yet, so... Global Fiesta won't start just yet.
Merc Treads for Trace. Just going to be trying to mitigate as much as possible, get out of that CC earlier. But an interesting start. We'll see which way he wants to take the build, because, you know, we've seen some of the more defensive builds coming out from the Rumble, but we've also seen those very glass cannon ones as well. But knowing Trace is probably going to be more to the side of the defensive, not so much a Smeb build.
Yeah, Smeb was loving rushing the super aggressive build path the Proto Belt was the one that he liked to go for, which really helps with your all-ins. Already high base damages, and the Proto Belt to ensure you get those extra ticks at the Flame Spitter is one way to go. We have also seen more old school builds when Helper was playing in the playoffs. He was very much going for the Rylai's and magic penetration stacking. We'll have to see what Trace prefers. Some of the stats are lost when you go Proto Belt. For example, cooldown reduction has never been a big craving for Rumble, one of the few champions in the game that doesn't really synergize that well with CDR. 10%, the lower numbers aren't a big problem when it comes to his spell rotations, but there is a reality of too much cooldown reduction affecting his speed of overheating.
Yeah, don't want to silence yourself too frequently. Has to be really well timed. But speaking of Smeb, he's going to be featured in the Legends Rising series this season. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about him and his backstory.
I mean, the best thing is not so much for long-time LCK viewers that we and many people hit over the head the story of Smeb, but getting it out there to the more casual viewer, the people that don't watch the Korean scene, even just the little bits we tell you, just the story of the man who was right down the bottom, both in team performance and personal performance, and rising now to arguably the best player in the world, with Faker, having a bit of sideways time rather than his ascent that he's been on for the last couple of years. There's a lot to love there, and it's a really good story. And there's a couple there. Chowie as well, as of course from your favorite LMS region, the guy who was banned from competitive play, like storylines like that. I'd love to see a Jensen Legend Rising as well.
That'd be quite good. But yeah, Chowie just really unfortunate for him. He actually got banned right before the regional qualifier for the LMS. He was on Taipei Assassin at the time. And now he might have wished that he stayed on TPA, because now J-Team looking pretty solid and could knock out AHQ for Worlds contention for one of the first times. And now engaged for the bottom lane. It's going to be Destiny coming through. Pilot dashing away, gets hit up by the Cocoon. He's going to get popped. Looks like the kill will go over to Lyra and puts another one on the board. Wing now arriving to get the pillar off onto Mickey. He's going to flash away, gets devoured by Snowflower. They'll take him out to safety. So Afreeca Freecs making some moves early on in this game. Kuzan not able to roam down to try to match. Just way too fast from Afreeca Freecs. Four-man dive, and they come up with a kill.
Well, Mickey built QSS first item, so he has that going for him. I've never seen only Doran's items into a QSS. Not even time for boots. This man does not want to be suppressed.
That's pretty damn safe from Mickey. That is trace levels of safe.
It was also the world's least threatening Twisted Fate gank down bottom. First use of the Destiny, shows up, does no damage because he has a QSS.
It's okay, he's just a gold card bot.
I mean, actually, he teleported in gold carded Trundle, who took about 20 damage, then he walked away. Didn't even get an assist onto the kill they did get, so ended up being unnecessary and hilarious given the items.
And then
Mickey plays the game his own way, and that's why we love him so.
He actually flashed too, so he came out in a deficit comparatively. But either way, Afreeca Freecs will be profiting. Now going to be up by just about 900 to 1,000 gold 10 minutes in. So it's a pretty good start for them, and Jinair struggling a little bit.
Definitely not a massive lead, but this is a comp that we know Afreeca can play. They love playing skirmish comps ever since they came into the league against Najin, famously beating them with Mickey Zed. They have been strong at playing skirmishing comps. They diversified in spring. They could play the team fighting comps. We had games where Ixu carried. We had games where Sangyun carried it, but those have been few and far between in summer season. So why not go back to what you know when you are in an elimination match? And Afreeca made Worlds to be their own great story in itself. That's the best thing, and that's why I love leagues. There's great stories for all these teams. Jinair struggling so much, but then repeating, going further than they did during the regional qualifier last year, where GBM's Gangplank almost took them there. Afreeca Freecs famously not having a sponsor during the whole of 2015. Mickey, #1 solo queue with his name being please sponsor Anarchy, and now having a sponsor of their own, but having never won a playoff game. Honestly, just winning one game in this series would at least be a monkey off their back.
Yeah. See a trade coming in, bot. Now Dragon started up.
It's
going to be the flash forward. The Nethergrass coming in, flash up with a knockup. And that will be the Malefic Visions finishing off Lyra during the Repel TP coming through from Trey's going to try to turn this one around. Afreeca Freecs have the pitch on the Jinair from both sides. But now they might have been off before they can chew. Have to flash away. Nice equalizer thrown down. Ixu and Snowflower are going to be taking a hell of a lot of damage. And Burrow knocks up the Tom Kench, and he will go down. Can Jinair find more? Looks like they might be able to push in for a turret, but now they're just going to go ahead and peel back. The wave clears there from Songyun still. They don't want to bite off more than they can chew. They'll get a lot of gold back off the backside of those kills. Just going to be down by about 400 at this point, so nicely played by Jin Air.
Notice that Mickey didn't pull the trigger despite having Ghost and the Destiny up. So hasn't bought, so he doesn't have the items.
I still don't have damage, guys. I can't come in.
But honestly, that's better. If you dive in and don't have the damage from other members, it's going to be a problem.
Well, they're going to be looking for it now. Destiny's popped. He's going to have to Ghost away, though, because Winged and Kuzan are nearby. Obviously spots them from that true vision that comes out.
You need to be so confident of your teammates' damage when you know that your own damage output is base damage values and not much more. So I actually commend Mickey for not coming into one of the earlier engagements. It probably would have only been extra kill credits over to Jin Air.
Now Wing coming down here just to help support the rest of the squad in the bottom lane, holding on to that turret for the time being. They delayed the dragon. Would have actually been probably one of the earliest dragons that we've had since before 6:15. But will remain standing for the time being. We'll see when that one's going to come back in. What's going to follow it up? Had Double Cloud Drake in game 1. Very well could see it yet again here in game 2. But Jin Air, hard fought fight right there. Can bring the gold very closely back in, which is going to be a pretty good feat because Mickey, he's got that 12 CS lead. He's getting that bonus gold, so being only a couple hundred behind is a pretty good look for Jin Air.
I'm really excited to see where Afreeca want to take this comp, because you look down it, and obviously when you see Twisted Fate and things like the Tom Kench, the pick comp in the mid game is certainly on the recipe, but if you look at the build from Lyra, that's where you kind of know where Afreeca want to go, because they have Sivra, so you think, okay, late game team fighting, pretty good. They have Echo, who can at least become a tanky frontline wall and will be a split pusher early. The Elise build will really tell you where Afreeca Freecs is going. If he builds tank, like Score, for example, is known for, then they want a team fight. If he doesn't, speaking of Lyra, it's on the screen now, he's looking for the pick on Kuzan.
Yeah, the Cocoon not going to land. There's the gold card. No cleanse. As he didn't take it, and that's going to be the kill coming in. So that's the danger of running with this Ghost Flash. And Kuzan, he learns it the hard way.
Finishing my point, if Lyra goes tank like Score is known to, then they're looking for team fights. If he goes full AP like Peanut is known for, expect Afreeca to just focus on skirmishing the map, stick away from team fights, and very much look for the picks, because don't take that cleanse, don't rush a QSS, and that's sort of punishment that Kuzan will receive.
Yeah, see, Mickey, he was ahead of the curve here. He got that QSS first item. Kuzan, you should have done the same. You really messed up.
And that sounds like a joke, but realistically, what happens when you rush QSS is Trace.
Nice juke out there from Trace. He's not going to get caught up in the Pearl Convergence. And that's the Void Rush coming in for Winged. He's going to get the pop-up in onto Lyra. The carpet, rather, not available here from the Rumble. Lyra dashes back. Can they finish him off? The minion's not going to do enough, but there's Kuzan arrives. Gets the silence through. 2 kills picked up for Jin Air. And double buffs over to this Malzahar. Red buff plus Malefic Visions. That sounds like an absolute nightmare in mid lane. No pun intended.
Afreeca saw the equalizer were down and tried to get frisky with the dive. Really doesn't work out. Those 2 picks were good for Afreeca. Mickey doesn't have a lot of mana, so needs to be careful with a roam down bottom.
Yep. And here goes the Ghost. He'll still get silenced up. Kuzan not having that flash. Couldn't go in, try to get the Nethergrass off. But still, this pressure opened up on the top lane. Gives Trace plenty of time to clear out the waves. Get a little bit of a lead, deny some farm away from Ixu and get some damage onto the tower as well. It's a good juke by Trace to start things off, and just a great Void Rush by Winged.
We also have to return to the fact that Lyra missed his skill shot in mid. They still picked up the kill, misses his Cocoon a second time on his re-entry into the squad, didn't play game 1. And just very easy for Kuzan to walk over, get the last hit. Afreeca, they hit their skill shots cleanly. They have a pick.
Oh boy, they're not done yet. Jin Air coming in. But they're not going to be able to find the knock up, the flash.
Double flash
coming through from Songyun and Soulflower. So for just tunneling forward, I think that's a pretty good trade for Jin Air.
I wonder how Rek'Sai feels, because he just tunneled into a party. Rek'Sai feels, because she just tunneled into a party and 2 people literally flashed away and screamed, and that was it.
I mean, it's hard to be a tunneling void beast.
I guess. Not pool party Rek'Sai, noticeably. Not ready for a party.
That doesn't make her much more inviting either, though. It's like one of those things, like she jumps in the pool and then everybody just gets out of it.
Is anyone ever really scared of someone wearing floaties, though?
That's true.
Not really the most intimidating avoid monsters when you're wearing floaties.
It's to fake you out, actually, to give you a false sense of security.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for the monsters to become that self-aware to be like, I know, I should just dress less scarily, I guess.
I mean, if I saw you running at me and you had floaties, I'd still be pretty terrified.
That's fair. I do get to great velocities when I, it's a slow workout, but when I get there.
If you body slam me, I'd probably break something.
I mean, Gragas is pretty nimble for a big guy.
That's true. He does some yoga. Oh, dive coming in at the top side of the map. Mickey going and gets a gold card, but he's taking a hell of a lot of damage. Snapback coming through from Ixu, but he is going to go down with help with the turret. That's a kill picked up by Trace. Flash forward by Wing to really solidify it. Jin Air, they're really starting to stamp out Afreeca Freecs. 1,000 gold lead, still not that significant, but that first brick's available. The pink's coming out on the turret. With Winged wrapping back around, looks like they might just go for this one.
I think you actually need to reverse the causality of your statements to actually get what's happening, Achilleos, because this is Afreeca over-pursuing, turret diving with a Twisted Fate that hasn't invested purely in offense. So you don't have the same damage values. You remember KT Rolster trying to get kills with a tier QSS Varus in the mid lane, and this is pretty much the same story. Sure, if you want to gank for the Twisted Fate lane, the QSS helps the Twisted Fate walk in front of the Malzahar and not be worried of dying to suppression. But if you're actually visiting other lanes, this build works against you as a Twisted Fate, and that's another case where Winged is just there to clean up a poorly advised turret dive, the fourth of the game it feels like for Afreeca in the top lane.
I mean, he's just had a fantastic network of tunnels as well, just has the place where he needs to go. The second time that he's been able to just arrive in top lane with the Void Rush, you know, clear out a gank and profit off of it with some kills. Now 3-0 and 3 on the Rek'Sai. 20 CS up over top of Lyra, as well as the Tiamat. We can see that Titanic Hydra is going to be coming in as the second item after the Cinder Hulk. So he is very well ahead on Rek'Sai, and when you have this scoreline, when you have these items, Rek'Sai is so terrifying because he can just basically kill anybody, any of the carries on Afreeca Freecs outside of maybe Ixu on the Echo.
And Wind is a pathing jungler, you know, you think of him as, you know, kind of like a Bengi when it comes to, you know, being smart about where he moves around the map. Not so much the carry jungler of the likes of Peanut, but his pathing has been to always be there to counter gank in top lane. And been the big benefactor. He's gotten 6 kill involvements out of 6 purely from being there for a counter gank rather than necessarily something aggressive himself. As speaking of aggressive, this is a nice rotation from Afreeca. Jin Air walking and collapsing from both sides though, so no first brick for Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, they were trying to, well, they can't get it anyway, but
that's true.
The turret was low, so I guess just wanting to make that play, but Luzon backing off, still has strong wave clear. On this Malzahar now has the needlessly large rod in the inventory as he looks for the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. But they go ahead, they use that Abyssal Voyage, and they're not able to find anything off of that. And now that's going to open up Violet on the bottom turret. Looks like they might just trade 1-for-1, but now the Void Rush coming in yet again for Winged. Boomerang Blade, a little too early, not that it would really scratch the surface of this Rek'Sai. Destiny pop, Trace going to get engaged on, gold card going to be coming through, but
interrupted.
Gets interrupted in mid. Nicely done. Have to assume that was probably Winged, and now Snowflower getting locked down with a Nether Grasp. He's going to be able to walk out of this one. The Malefic Vision's taking him lower and lower, but the silence isn't going to connect, and it looks like, oh, he's actually going to go down. The Subjugate Ignite, helping tick him away by Jay. Nicely done. Jin Air put another kill on the board. 7-3 now, with a fairly significant gold lead starting to stack up. They won't be able to get onto this tier 1 in mid. But Pilot, he just was able to stick around in bottom. He took out that tower, shoved the wave up to the tier 2. He's going to flash out of that parallel convergence. He stays alive, and Afreeca Freecs continue to struggle.
To be the first Drake of the game is to be taken is post 20 minutes. That has been the trend, given the standard lanes of later and later first Drakes. Cloud, perhaps not going to be of the biggest value, but Infernal means that 26 minutes 40 or so, we will see another flare point for a fight. Teams would love an Infernal Drake, given the items are really starting to come through. We're going to see the replay, and there's the intercept.
That's just
Winged.
such a bold move by Mickey, and a foolish one, really.
And you notice that Mickey actually QSS is nothing after the knockoff has come through. Probably just fat-fingered the ability. And very hard to calculate the damage of Malefic Vision's Ignite and also the second tick of the Trundle ultimate. And it's up with Snowflower going down.
Well, we will not have double Cloud Drake coming in this time. It's going to be an Infernal coming through, and Jin Air, with the lead that they've garnered for themselves, should be able to pick that one up, and that's going to do some serious work for them.
A lot of Afreeca's greatest undoing has been plays around the top lane. Think back to game 1 where they spent 7-8 minutes. It felt like, it was probably more like 4 or 5, but still a long time relatively speaking, trying to siege down a 300 health teleport, like a 300 health turret. They got it and then lost 2 in quick answer. In this game, multiple turret dives have basically been their undoing in the early game and set up specifically Winged, who still has 100% kill participation and now does a lot of damage on this Rex side.
That he does. And now might be looking for a Guardian Angel so he doesn't take any damage as well. So you can see the swap coming through. Trace to the bottom. Pilot, Jay going up top. No turrets on either side for them to take, but they'll be able to hold on to them. Lyra going in for the cocoon, misses it. And you can see Winged very handily winning that damage trade, knocking this Elise down to half HP. Still going in for it. Repel comes through. It's like he'd have to flash to go for the pursuit onto Lyra. Won't follow through with that one. Mickey gets chunked down by Kuzan. Might finally be seeing that mid-tier 1 fall as Jin Air. They're pretty grouped up for this one. They have the wave clear, so they should be able to make this happen.
Massive mismatch between junglers, a level and a lot of effective gold worth of items. Advantages. That's the equalizer.
Oh yeah, throws it down to the back line, just trying to zone them all away from the turret. The wave getting cleared out, and now Trace pitching in on the back, has that big flame spitter coming through. He's taking a hell of a lot of damage. Parallel Convergence locks him up, but Ixu can't stick around to try to find the kill. Malefic Vision sticking away on Lyra. Flash forward by Wing. There it is, the last hit takes him down. Snowflower will pop that shield at the last second, but is it enough to save him? Looks like the answer is gonna be yes. He gets away with sub 30 HP. Mickey as well, gonna be pretty crippled as he walks out of there. The tier 2 tower now going to be under threat by Jin Air. Clear still strong from Song Yoon, so it looks like they're going to go ahead and peel back, but Jin Air just keeps adding more and more objectives onto the pile.
One point this game was 2-0 to Afreeca when they made that nice dive, the first one of which onto Trace worked, but since then, over pursuing top lane dives has set up Rek'Sai to be both a damage carry and unkillable. And Afreeca, we get the confirmation on the item build. I mentioned, would it be AP indicating a pure pick comp from Afreeca Freecs on the Elise, or would it be tank? And Banshee Veil into Chainfest lets you know that Lyra wants to team fight. That means they don't have the pick damage to get a lot of good skirmish kills, barring multiple people showing up in a lane. And Sivir doesn't have the items for team fight. So this is basically going to be a big power trough until Afreeca get 2 to 3 and very much 3 items, I guess you'd say at this point, onto the Sivir. So for now, Jin Air going to have basically complete map control. They have the run of things until Afreeca get those items on the Sivir.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see Pilot going back to this build, because in the Lucians that we saw kind of near the end of his run, it was kind of harkening back to the Essence Reaver start. So going for this armor pen build that's, you know, reminiscent of what we see from the Jhin. Obviously, the Duskblade not going to be coming through. The Black Cleaver replacing that, but it's good to see this one showing up yet again. And speaking of which, showing up yet again onto Trace. He's going to get jumped on, still has the flash available. We'll use it now. Snowflower coming in, will get the Devour. That should be a dead Rumble. Gold card for good measure. They do take him down, and Song Yoon finds the kill. That's going to be pretty crucial as it's his first one. But with so many members,
map pressure points around bot, and we're seeing the Baron come down, and why that is that every time everyone leaves, they stick 3 pink wards around the Baron. There's been no chance for Afreeca to get even a single ward down, so over pursuing, losing pressure. Baron's getting low.
Yeah, Lyra might be having to go for this steal. The Nethergrass comes out, but he's actually going to take it away. Lyra goes in, gets the steal away, but he is going to fall ultimately in the end. The Malefic Vision's taking him down, but Pilot gets jumped on by the remaining members of Afreeca Freecs. Able to trade one back, takes out Song Yoon in the end. Now it's Jay and Wing, who's trying to make it over the wall, but a beautiful pillar locks him up. Wing is going to get his Guardian Angel popped, and Afreeca Freecs, they manage the miracle steal by Lyra, and they take out 4 members of Jin Air. What a turnaround for them.
Complete hero play from Lyra. Missed a couple of cocoons earlier. We were wondering about his Elise, but he makes it all work. Was suppressed, so Jin Air had the right idea. They tried to keep him out, but they stopped DPSing as the suppression ended, so he actually had time still to flash over. If they had focused on DPSing during the suppression, they may have gotten the confirmation and stopped Lyra from getting in the pit. A really nice steal, and suddenly this game starts to swing back. It's only a 2,000 gold lead, despite the strong 25 minutes for Jin Air.
Yeah, and with that Baron buff, those Baron-empowered minions, Afreeca Freecs can try to take away multiple turrets, really close that gap.
Suppression, so they know what to do, but at the same time, they don't focus on DPSing as Kuzan. See, the issue here is that if one person stops DPSing and Kuzan is ulting, that's 2 people, because Kuzan can't do anything while he's suppressing. So the end result is that lack of a clear call or just a small mistake.
I see what you're saying, Papa. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 people, 2 HP Baron. Seal goes over to Afreeca Freecs.
You got it. You nailed it.
It's all connected.
Analysis looms for you, Achilles.
Yep. Actually, you're going to be play-by-play from now on.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to be the analysis.
Okay.
I'm sure this will go very well.
We'll practice it off air and then bring it on if it works out.
Oh, okay. So we're going to give them that live insight to how we practice our casting. But all the same, despite the Baron going over to Afreeca Freecs, Infernal Drake will still be picked up by Jin Air. Looks like it's going to be another one spawning after this, and then the Elder Dragon will be coming out. Jay coming in. He's going to stop the back on the Songyun, gets popped up. He's going to go down. Trace finds the kill. Lyra has to head for the hills. So Afreeca Freecs still faltering here after that massive swing. And they're still going to be struggling, but they will be able to pick up 2 turrets, 1 in the mid, 1 in the top, as Ixu splits, and there's no one there to answer for that. So they will put some gold on the board. They're going to tie it up and actually inch forward in a very slight lead.
But Achilles, they had no vision on the map. They only now have a couple of wards. There's more. It feels like there's more corpses on the map than there is wards when it comes to red specks on the mini-map, just because Afreeca has been really low on the ward count. They're going to be able to get out. You can still pick a card when you're in Tom Kench. That's
Winged is still coming over the side. Gets a pop up in the Snowflower. Might still be looking for the engage. Silence comes through. Malefic Vision's taking him away. The ability to really slow him up. He's going to pop that shield. He's going to fall in the end. The calling coming through. There it is. Pilot is able to finalize the kill with the final hit. And another one goes onto the board for Jin Air. So they're not going down without a fight. Had that lead well established. It's swung back on them by Lyra's steal, but they're not going to take their foot off the accelerator. They want more. They're out for blood.
The gold injection from the Baron and the couple of kills means that Songyun's closer and closer to 3 items. Jin Air setting up for a dive.
Along the back, Mickey is just stuck inside. Triple man knockup from the Unburrow, and that is going to be Songyun going down immediately, followed by Mickey and Ixu. They are just going to sweep right through. Ixu gets a bunch of damage onto several members. Lyra now coming in, trying to finalize some kills. Ixu's actually going to live at the end of this. Lyra does go down, but Ixu barely limps out of the fight, and the tier 2 will fall. So Jin Air, they're going to swing this lead even further back in their favor.
And stealing the Baron from the Prince of Thieves Winged has only seemed to irate the man as he comes in with a massive 3-man knockup. Words cannot overstate how big that was. Great CC layering and damage layering from the Rumble as well. So things in the pendulum swings back to Jin Air. And man, what an exciting game 2 after a pretty controlled game 1.
Yeah, man.
Look at this knockout. This is
Duly
insane.
noted. Do not piss off Winged, because he will just go all out on your team. Ixu obviously barely managing to make it out alive, but all the same, Jin Air just sweep through the remaining members of Afreeca Freecs, take out that tier 2 tower, and they just push that much deeper into the base of Afreeca after what was looking like it could have been a big swing, a catastrophic swing against Jin Air, but they still persevere.
I know what you're trying to say, but remember to put your money in the swear jar after the broadcast. I heard that B-word. You?
I'll put 1,000 won in.
First bottle of soju's on you.
All right. I mean, yeah, could have some soju. This is my last cast for the regular split for the playoffs and everything. So I get a nice long break.
And both of us are done so. We've got Monty and Doa coming back for the rest of the matches, but let's focus on the ones at hand. Jin Air trying to push their lead. They're turret diving though, which is awkward.
Well, that's going to be the Nether Grasp on the Ixu. Not exactly the priority target you want, especially when Tom Kench is waiting there for the Devour. Going forward, trying to get on the J.
This
will
one.
Get a lot of damage in. The Cocoon hits him, but they can't follow up. Afreeca Freecs have to peel back. Silence not going to connect. The Pillar comes down to slow up the Echo. But so far, still, everybody on both sides going to be relatively healthy, except for Jay on this Trundle, but he's going to regenerate with that passive with the minions dying around him. So looks like Jin Air will be safe to go ahead and peel back.
This Baron has completely changed the trajectory of the game. If the Baron had gone as expected to Jin Air, there would have been no more exciting points. It would have been a slow attempt at closing. Maybe not methodical, we saw game 1, but still a slow attempt at a close from Jin Air. But there's a lot more life in Afreeca, and even though they're not getting the fights they want just yet, they have big tools. They have Mickey on his patented Twisted Fate. It's only 3,000 gold lead at 30 minutes, so still life in the sails for Afreeca, looking for their first ever postseason victory.
But one of the things that Afreeca has just been struggling with in game 1 and now in game 2 is just vision control. Look at the vision control, the double ping down in the jungle for Jin Air Green Wings. There's another one in the river on the top side, and there's multiple pinks in the inventories of these players. And there's only one pink in the inventory of Afreeca Freecs, and that's Snowflower. They haven't been playing the vision game as a team, and they're really struggling for it. We saw that with the pickoff on Songyun in the bottom lane. Just recalling where they didn't have vision, get collapsed on, they lose the 80 carry, and that was the start of the, this big turnaround after the Baron seal back into the favor of Jin Air Green Wings.
And it's such a surprise, because when they came into the league, you think of a team that plays Assassins coming from the Challenger League, you don't think of strong vision control, but Afreeca Freecs then Rebels Anarchy actually had good vision control, but it's not been on display this game, and maybe this is the result of swapping out your top side of the map multiple times during the season and now in the playoffs.
Not only that, but also your jungler. Having somebody with that tracker's knife, we haven't been seeing that many wards thrown down by Lyra. Still has both of his charges, just used them now. But yeah, they get the tier 2. They're going to posture up. They're going to try to finish off this turret. They will be able to get it. Che takes a hell of a lot of damage. So Songyun, the Simmer starting to come online. Shay's coming through. Jay almost going down. One more hit will do it. He flashes away, and now the Destiny coming through. Mickey.
Is it going to be the red card?
Pilot is really low. Gold card comes in, locks up Trace. He's going to get Tongue Lash straight into the Cocoon. They should be able to finish off the Rumble. Ixu is able to get the Lucian. Nether Grasp down onto Songyun. Kuzan just desperately trying to finish him off. He will be able to do so, but he's going to pay for it with his own life. So far, it's going to be a 3-for-2 in favor of Afreeca Freecs. The Abyssal Voyage coming out. They jump forward into the river. Wings going to cut around the Baron pit, but they're trying to cut him off. Snowflower running down with Lyra. Like they're going to spit the Elise closer, but he still gets the Cocoon, has the Guardian Angel. Parallel Convergence coming out. He flashes away from that one. Looking to get into the tunnel. Will be able to make it and go over the wall. Ixu chasing. Gets a slow up. He pops him up. Wing still has a lot of damage to trade back onto this Echo, so he has to be careful. He'll be able to take away that Raptor in the end, and it looks like Afreeca Freecs. They're going to go for this Infernal Drake. Would be their first of the game, but Wing is still 2
levels up as well.
Has the Guardian Angel, has the Smite available, could very well go for this one, especially with Jay coming nearby. Let's see if he goes in, has to go in, pull the trigger on that soon, but just tries to take with the Prey Seeker, won't be able to find it. It's confirmed by Ixu in the end, and that will be a slight reprieve for Afreeca Freecs. They win the fight, come out a kill ahead, and pick off a dragon on the backside.
So Lyra trading flashes with Winged is actually what prevented the steal from coming through. If he had flash up 2 levels over, he would have looked for the Smite. So this is Winged, the guy who made his career last year with his Brazilian Samba-style Smite steals that he was able to do earlier this season as well. But we're going to look back on the fight. Good job by Ixu. He actually got his man in Lucian. Lucian position's a little bit different to Sivir, so there is room for Echo to look for those assassinations in the backline. Even though the ADs end up trading, Afreeca have slightly more tools. Only the Trundle and the Rek'Sai after the fight. Speaking of fights.
Oh boy, yeah, Winged is still just picking him as often as he can. The Parallel Convergence will come through, locks him up. He takes a smattering of damage, gets knocked down to around 55%, but overall still going to be very tanky. Still has the GA there, and they're just going to try to lock him up yet again. The Parallel Convergence won't connect this time as he goes over the wall to take away the blue buff. Which means that Kuzan won't get his hands on this one. Big wave building up in top for Afreeca Freecs. Jin Air going to have to answer that, so they can try to pressure out around Baron.
At some point I have to get angry because still no pink wards in the inventory or on the map from Lyra or the Afreeca Freecs. Just a single pink ward. Nothing else. Meanwhile, there's been 5 pink wards on the map basically the whole game for Jin Air.
Nice steal, or save there rather, onto Lyra.
That's why Lyra and these people are getting caught out. Winged is so tanky that he can walk up and use Tremor Sense to get them information as aggressively as possible because he will not die at level 18 with a Guardian Angel.
It's been damn close a couple times, but the GA still hasn't even got popped. Jay, though, going to get locked up. That's going to be his first death of the game. Destiny coming through. Where does Mickey want to go? Looks like he might just be sticking around. Is in the river. He's running down to try to deal that wave. He's going to TP in now. They'll be able to clear that out very quickly and just keep that pressure built up in bottom side. Keep it moving towards the tier 2 so that they have a slight opening when it comes to this Baron. But vision still dominated by Jin Air in the river.
So even with that extra information, made a mistake. They walked up as a 4-man unit. Winged had already walked up. And they do not have Winged around as a goalkeeper of sorts to prevent aggression. Both the ability to knock people up and just in general being crazily tanky and doing damage. They need to play respectable Afreeca, who do have multiple ways to engage a fight. Sheer movement speed or the Twisted Fate. So they lose a member. No objective from that, but some of the map control starts to go away, and finally we're seeing some pink wards in the inventory of Afreeca Freecs.
It's a good little change for them, but It's still fewer than they need. Having those two, we can already see 3 placed on the map for Jin Air with 2 more on reserve in the inventory. So they're going to be doing quite nicely as far as the vision goes. Wink pushing back in. He'll clear out this bank as well. And get that unique vision over Baron. You can see the gold coming through. 3,000 up is Winged over top of Lyra. Just been so very impactful. 100% kill contribution in this game.
QSS completed onto Pilot, so maybe can position a little bit more aggressively and not have to worry about being assassinated by Mickey. Speaking of QSS, it's not one onto the Sivir, so they can blow that spell shield.
Oh, speaking of which, he's going to get popped up as Wing comes into the back line. Devour there from Snowflower to keep him safe. TP now for Ixu, goes into the front line, but the Nethergrass was there, pops him up. He can't even ult, he can't even flash. He's going to go down the pillar. Beautifully placed as they jump forward, trying to get the damage in on a Snowflower. They won't be able to finish off the Tom Kench quite just yet, but they're looking for Lyra to try to pop that GA. Devour coming through, keeping Songyun alive yet again. Trace has to go in for the recall. Has the TP, though. Could join his team if they want to rotate straight over to this Baron.
No QSS onto Ixu, didn't have an item slot for it, working towards the Guardian Angel. There is Mickey's ult, so full information here for Afreeca despite their lack of wards.
The TP comes in, Lyra is still low, didn't go back to heal. Get a little bit of sustain if you can go in, clear out a jungle camp with the Spiderlings. But Wing's gonna go forward, try to pop this GA. Gets the knock up, and Snowflower is there for the Devour, so gonna be delaying that one for a little bit longer. Jin Air fighting over for vision. They're gonna start up the Baron. This is going to be risky. Ixu coming up in 10 seconds. Doesn't have a TP, but he can zip his way there. So if Afreeca Freecs can delay with a fight, they might be able to win this one out. Shay gonna get low as he gets caught up by the Cocoon. Baron still being engaged on the minions. Go away from Kuzan. And it looks like Jin Air, they're gonna have to disengage. Wing goes forward, gets caught up by the gold card. Trying to find it. Jin Air, they're still keeping this Baron engaged down to about 3,300. Starting to regen now. Wing goes in, gets a pop up the Songyun. The Devourer yet again coming through. Mickey, he's gonna be targeted at House of Zonia's. That will keep him alive for a little bit longer, but he gets popped in the end. Pilot gonna take away that kill, and Songyun, with how low he is, he's gonna have to back off. Meanwhile, the Piercing Light comes out, and that's gonna be one dead Spider. Nether Grasp on the Ixu, the GA. That's gonna go down with the Malefic Visions, and the Silence is gonna snap back, but that's not gonna help you out too much more. Basically just resets everything that just happened, delays the inevitable. No flash, no ulti there for him. Silenced out, he goes down. Another kill for Jin Air, and they're going to go straight back over to the Baron because Afreeca Freecs, they have to answer this massive wave that's built up and started to knock down the inhibitors as well as the bottom tower.
And 2 lanes are really nice slow pushing, something Jin Air used to be super strong at. This is probably the perfect time for Barons. They almost lost the game from their first Baron throw, but this time they've got the members down, the smite is gone, the minion waves are prepped. Everything perfect this time for Jin Air. Confirm their first Baron of the game, and they'd be able to close it out cleanly from here. So it's a really long, elongated fight. Big advantage that Jin Air had was they had the Equalizer back up, much shorter cooldown on that ability than most team fighting changing ults. So Mickey looking for a poke, dies first. They get the GA from Lyra and then the kill. So from this point, if they have the health balance, which you can see they do, remember they have Malzahar Voidlings to tank the Baron as well. Turning onto the Baron is super straightforward as Ixu goes for a delay mission. Big issue for him is that unfortunately all the minions were in his base and the death timer was 40 seconds on the Sivir, so we're not going to be delaying really anything for Jin Air.
Yeah, now that's the Elder Dragon coming through. 2 buffs. Going to be giving them the extra burn damage. The Infernal Drake as well. Going to be giving 12% increased AD/AP for the side of Jin Air. And it looks like they basically have all the tools they could possibly want to close out this game as they move forward into this bottom lane where the turret already took a hell of a lot of damage. Curtain call. Not curtain call. Carpet thrown down. I don't know why I'm mixing that
Equalizer,
one up. The Equalizer. I want to say the carpet, but they sound so similar. But they lock up Ixu. They take him out. Of course, the GA had already been popped. And that is just going to be the first inhibitor being broken. Looks like Jin Air might just be able to sweep through the base, if not finish things off right here. They're going to take this one up a little bit while the members exit. Not going to rotate up to that naked inhibitor for now. Going to catch the wave in mid, push that one forward. It's just that big opening ultimate. I haven't seen a Rumble in a while. It's been all Jin.
If you want to call it a damage carpet, that's fine.
The damage carpet.
It's definitely an equalizer.
Yeah.
I like how people keep walking up to Winged and he's like, hey guys, I've got 6 items in here.
Curtains and carpets aren't exactly the same thing, so I'm messing up my
home improvement itinerary.
Decorative items. Now, that's going to be the second inhib and the third one falling as Winged does finish off the top lane. Ixu coming back up now in 3 seconds, but you have to think that this is pretty much going to be the end of it here for Afreeca Freecs. They'll have one more game after this to try to turn things around. Mickey going to get engaged on. Takes a little bit of damage, throws out the gold card, will lock up Che. Ixu trying to get onto Pilot, but the Nethergrass comes through. He'll snap back in time and keep himself alive. Wing almost gets his GA pop. Tunnel out. Mickey taking a hell of a lot of damage. The silence is there, but Snowflower devours him. But all of Afreeca Freecs have to run back into the fountain. They're completely locked off and relegated from pushing forward. But Jin Air, they take a good amount of damage on several members. They don't want to push it. They'll just go ahead and be happy with 3 inhibitors. They'll back off and spend this gold.
The difference between the two teams is definitely the front line. Winged is running this game in so many ways. He's playing the early game. The fact that he's 21 out of 22 kill participation already tells you a lot of story from just the scoreboard, but in fights, the big difference is even though we're reaching 3-4 item stage, Sung-Yoon has not been able to free hit because he's under threat, both from things like the Equalizer and in general just being zoned by Rek'Sai, and we're not seeing 4-item Sivir run through a team like we have so many times in summer season.
Now, 10,000 gold, 3 inhibitors down. Jin Air are poised to just go ahead, take this second game, and be match point away from moving on to face Samsung later this week. And they will need those few days in between to prep for that one. Taking down Samsung Galaxy after their recent performances, barring their loss to KT, they've looked like a very strong squad, even with their rookie AD carry ruler coming in. Now, that is going to be the Equalizer thrown down on the back. First turret going down. Ixu just doing what he can, trying to stick to somebody. Big heal comes out onto Che. They have the shield as well from the locket to keep them alive. Second turret now going to be getting targeted out by Pilot, who's doing a hell of a lot of damage on this Lucian. Takes a good bit as well. Has to start juking back. Turret's still going to be alive for the time being. They get a devour onto Winged, who still has that Guardian Angel. He's tunneling out, trying to stay alive. Still will be able to do so. Lyra has to back off to retreat to the fountain, but the turret is still standing. Trace eating up that aggro. Now the minions coming in, triple super creeps will finally be able to expose this Nexus, but Jin Air, they've taken so much damage, they might just have to peel back. Trace at least is going to recall. Still has the TP. Looks like they're going to use the Void Rush and the teleport to come back in and really try to put the nail in the coffin. Double knock up from Wing. He locks up Lyra. Mickey going low, has the Zonius, will pop it, has that gold card up, but it's going to expire, so won't be able to draw on anybody. He's going to fall. Che finds the kill. Ixu snapping back. He's going to be able to help finish off Trace, but it does not matter. The rest of Jin Air are still too healthy. The Nexus is too low. They're going to be able to take game 2 here. 44 minutes, just about as long as game 1, but twice as many kills as Afreeca Freecs had, and a 10,000 gold lead at the end of the day. So Jin Air still looking like a very cohesive squad and looking like they might be able to complete the 3-0.
They managed to come back and persevere, even though the heroic Baron steal from Lyra bought Afreeca some time, it gave Afreeca some hope, but this squad still has not found that first victory in the postseason. That's kind of a story in its own. 0-6 in all postseason games is Afreeca Freecs, and Jin Air one step away, a single win out of the last 3 to make it to Samsung and once again start up that late surge to Worlds for Jin Air Green Wings.
The team that 4-0's SK Telecom, now maybe going to be 0-3 from matches in the post game, which would be a very short run for them in the gauntlet. But Jin Air, they did this in spring. They're looking to do it again now in summer and get one step closer to the World Championship. Take a look at the damage dealt. I mean, you can see Sung-Yoon did a hell of a lot of work, but so did Kuzan.
And the big story here is the difference between Sung-Yoon and the Twisted Fate isn't a lot. If you have a strong front line, Sivir does 20,000 damage more than a champion like a Twisted Fate that's more about the burst, but frontline wasn't there. The real frontline was Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the damage share on the side of Afreeca, or the side of Jin Air. Everybody doing a pretty even contribution, barring Kuzan, who was vastly ahead of everybody else. But still, good performance from these guys. We're going to see if they're able to close it out as we get ready to go to a break, or if Afreeca Freecs can finally put a post-season match, a post-season game on the board for themselves and fire back. We're going to go back to a break. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes.